Nine.
Basically, this generation is more liberal, more tolerant, more Democrat-leaning than the one before. It's not just because they're young.
For another point of view, it's Hard News with Russell Brown and Wammo on Kiwi.
Yep, he's over at publicaddress.net, the Hard News blog, also the Media 7 show on TVNZ7. Russell Brown joins us. Good morning, Russell.
Good morning.
Of course, midterm election time in the States at the moment.
Yeah, a little bit of an irony there. That thing that you introduce me with every week.
Yeah.
Was uttered at a time when it looked like the Democrats were very strong.
That's right. It was pre-Obama, I think it was.
Yeah. It was the midterms.
I think that was midterms of the Bush.
Yeah,
one.
I think it may be. God, we've been talking that long.
Much longer, Russell.
Yeah.
Much longer.
But anyway, yeah, it is interesting because that demographic factor hasn't gone away.
No.
But what has changed is the enthusiasm. And people call it the enthusiasm gap in American politics. And the people who are going to turn out today and vote in America are largely going to be people who are angry at the government.
I heard a stat that it's less than 40% of voting age Americans will actually vote.
Yes, yeah, no. If they crack 40%, they'll be doing quite well.
Wow.
Yeah, but it is. You really have to wonder what happened to the Obama dream after 2 years. But I don't know. American politics just. Sometimes I struggle to understand it.
Well, they elect a president based on hope and change and everything, but the president, it turns out, is just one person and can't do a whole hell of a lot.
No, exactly. And they had these the ludicrous rules and the filibuster rules in Congress are astonishingly destructive because they prevent parties with a majority of the vote from passing laws. The things that they have had to do to climb around the fact that although they have they've had majorities in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. In the Senate, the Republicans have been able to filibuster anything they try and do because they don't have a supermajority.
Right.
And I can't help but think that politics and economics and the justice system in America are blighted by these sorts of gimmicks.
What they need is a dictatorship, Russell.
You'll hopefully not. Well, that's what people seem to think they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the rise of the Tea Party, and those people really are convinced that Obama is a secret or not so secret Marxist engaged in a campaign of hardline socialism. And really, everything Obama's done is in international terms, absolutely mainstream. And the steps that he was obliged to take pretty much immediately on taking office in terms of the stimulus were completely conventional economics. And if they had not passed the stimulus bill and actually made the state the federal government the buyer of last resort out there, the American economy could really have gone down the gurgler, as in Great Depression style. Which people don't seem to accept that or understand it, and clearly that's a minority view in the US at the moment.
Can you clarify one thing? The Republicans and the Tea Partiers, where does Palin stand? Is she a Tea Partier?
Yeah, although it would be interesting to see how often she calls herself that. She's certainly their star. But, I mean, Sarah Palin is more of a political celebrity now than a serious candidate for anything. I mean, not according to the media over there. Well, you won't see her run for president, is my guess.
Thank goodness.
Because the Republican Party machine would block that. I mean, this is actually one of the interesting things about the Republicans' relationship with the Tea Party phenomenon. On one hand, the Republican Party loves and wants the Tea Party because it's the sheer fervour and enthusiasm that it's generated have been incredibly useful, and it's certainly hurt Obama. On the other hand, there will be some fairly odd people being elected to the US Senate this week, including people like Rand Paul, who's Ron Paul's son, who believes that the secret North American government is even now building a secret 10-lane NAFTA superhighway to connect Mexico and Canada as part of a grand plan which involves abolishing the US dollar in favour of a new currency called the Amiro. It's all complete nonsense, but he believes it. And Sharon Angle, who is likely to beat Harry Reid in the Senate race in Nevada, is a complete Fruit Loop. So it's a bit of a mixed blessing for the Republican Party that the fact that these people are winning primaries. Christine O'Donnell's another one, the former anti-masturbation campaign.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when these people actually get to Washington, because they are pretty weird. Rand Paul is a very strange man.
But they may be weird, but then they hold a card and they hold a vote.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. Well, and people don't seem to mind their weirdness. I mean, these are people who I don't think would play well in mainstream politics in most Western countries. They're weird people with conspiracy theories, but such is the mood. And even people like the Velvet Underground's legendary drummer Mo Tucker has been found to be a Tea Party supporter. And she's had various complaints. Someone went and interviewed her after she was spotted at the rally, and really it's just grievance.
Grievance about what?
Well, ostensibly because the government the US government is piling up debt for future generations, which it certainly is.
Yeah.
But that started under Bush, and I maintain, if you read Alan Bollard's book, it says pretty much the same thing, that when Obama came into office, they pretty much had to actually spend that stimulus money. Otherwise, things could have gotten really awful in America, as opposed to just 10% unemployment.
What about this rally to restore sanity from Jon Stewart? How effective was it, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. It's interesting on the one hand that CBS used the same crowd counting company and found that the rally to Jon Stewart's rally had nearly 3 times the people of Glenn Beck's rally in August, which would suggest, hey, these people are enthusiastic, but they're not that enthusiastic in terms of turning out to vote. I mean, it was quite odd, because I thought it seemed more interesting for the people who were there than what Jon Stewart had to say on stage. I think that Stewart was trying to be so relentlessly non-partisan that it became a bit bland on stage. But actually looking at the pictures of the people, and everyone had their clever or ironic sign, you thought, well, this is a genuine constituency, but it's not one really making its presence felt any other day.
And yet again, I get the same feeling that I had in the lead up to the 2008 election, that American politics is more interesting to people outside of America than inside America.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think that will be the case. And it's those people who aren't interested who are the missing votes for the Democrats, basically.
Yeah.
Because, when you look at all the polls, tend to show quite different stories when you look at likely voters or registered voters. Registered voters, the Democrats still right. There's a lot of registered Democrats out there, but people who will actually go and vote, big difference.
So,
so they need to motivate people again. I don't know whether they think they can pull it off again in 2 years' time and Obama will be re-elected, which I would not, rule out at all. But
well, yet again, I'd like to put it forward that Americans lose the right to vote and the rest of the world can vote for them.
Yes. Well, it is such an important nation, and it's such an important economy, and you do I know exactly what you're saying. You think, why are these people allowed to make decisions for the rest of us?
We're objective. We can, we're not inside it. We look very objectively at things, see how things are going, how they fit in the rest of the world. We can make the decisions for
them. Exactly. And when you've got people like Sharon Angle, who probably will enter the Senate, she wants to pull the US out of the United Nations,
right?
And pull out of all UN treaties. I mean, these people are not sane or serious, but they're getting the votes. So.
Yeah. All right, and when's election day?
It's right now.
Right now.
And we're actually going to be talking about the media angle on it with Paul Buchanan and Tim Watkin at the Media 7 recording tonight, which will kick off about, I dare say, we'll start about 6 o'clock, which will be 10 o'clock in California. So we'll also 10 o'clock at night in California, Tuesday. So we'll also possibly have some idea of how Proposition 19's going.
Oh, yeah, in California, yeah?
Yep, legalise pot.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, if they do pass it and they do legalise pot in California, the feds are going to come down and say, well, actually, you might be doing it there, but we're still going to come down heavy on anyone who's dealing, growing, or anything in California, because we've got overall jurisdiction.
Yeah, which is interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how the Republicans and Tea Partiers, who always go on about states' rights, it will be interesting to see what their response is, because if it does go through, hang on, this is a popular mandate, and it's the state's right to govern its affairs, to do this. So I suspect if Obama had anything to do with it, he wouldn't be too hands-on.
No, and of course the other states will be freaking out that it's going to spread.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is in California, pot's pretty much legal now. There are people growing it for supply under the medical marijuana laws. Well,
apparently all you need to do is turn up to the dispensaries, and there's a doctor who's just employed there to sit there on a seat, and you go to him and say, I've got a little bit of a cough. I don't know why you'd want a marijuana for the cough, but anyway, and he'll write a prescription there on the spot, and he's just paid just to sit there and do that.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Oh, my back hurts.
Exactly. Hey, thanks, Russell.
Okay, cheers, baby.
Russell Brown at publicaddress.net, also the Media 7 Show, TVNZ.